Independence City Council meeting. It's Tuesday, November 27th, 2018. Winter has arrived, and it's soggy. Thank goodness most of the leaves are gone. Let the record show the councilors are here except for Odie Campos, who left us a message that he was trapped in traffic in Portland. We'll send out a search party. Councilors, we have minutes from the November 13th meeting. Do they meet with your approval? That's a motion.
Got a motion.
Second.
I'll second.
Everybody's quiet this evening. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Visitor comments. Does anybody have anything they need to say at this point? I see a huge, if you do, step forward, please. Good evening and welcome to council.
Mayor. I just wanted to address the issue on the home business license fees and things like that.
We need your name.
Oh, John Bodovitz.
Thank you. Please continue.
The way I look at this is, you can call these things anything you want, but it's just taxes. We're maxed out on taxes, so you went to things like franchise fees. We have franchise fees on everything. MyNet, we have 5% on my data, 7% is the data, 5% on the TV. We've got almost 3% on Northwest Natural Gas. Pacific Power, we've got a public purpose fee. And, they're all just taxes. That's all they are. You can call them anything you want, but they're taxes. And now you want to, I already pay property tax on my house. Why do I have to start paying taxes on what I do there? That's just, it's not fair. You need to just stop spending money. If we don't have it, don't spend it. But that's all it is. It's taxes. And we keep going through this. The sewer fee is going to go up certain percentages every year for the next 5 years. The water is going to go up a certain percentage every year for the next 5 years. And then we're using the sewer fund for other things. That's not right. It's just not right. And now to add a $225 fee onto people, these people that do home businesses, they're just trying to make money to get by. Things like this time of the year to make Christmas presents, things like that. And you don't realize it, but people that do things just like eBay, a few things like that, if they only make $2,000 a year and you want to charge them $225, you're taking 10%. And this is all just extra money. They're trying to, some of it's not even extra money. Some of these people really need that money. And I don't think it's fair. I really don't. And that's all I have to say. I realize you have things that you got to pay for. I'm really impressed with the fitness center. I hadn't been down by the sports park in a long time, and my wife told me I should walk down there. That's great. It's really, really cool. And then down here behind the city hall, all the landscaping going in and stuff. I walk by there almost every morning now, and it's really nice. But we have to decide what we can afford. And a lot of these people in this town can't afford to keep getting more and more fees. And I really wish you'd reconsider charging a home business fee.
Thank you. Appreciate you sharing that, because I think we're going to be talking about that a little later on this evening. Thank you. Appreciate that. Anybody else jumping up? Okay. We're going to keep moving at this point. I don't have any extensive report to provide at this time, but I think that we have some council liaison reports, and I think Councilor Lindskog has a library board report and a WinPeg report. Would you like to share those?
Okay. This is the library report. The library night at the Makerspace grant is progressing. The Makerspace at Henry Hill will be open most Thursday nights from 6 to 9 p.m. for public use starting in December. Those wanting to use the equipment will need to complete a training session before use. The Public Access Program is funded through a Library Service and Technology Act grant. The space was made possible by the Central School District and the CSC with grant funding from the Oregon Community Foundation. The equipment available includes 3D printing, embroidery machine, large format printers, a laser cutter, a vinyl cutter, and more. December activities will include a number of children's activities during the winter break and wreath making for adults and older teens. The library is partnering with the school district to bring children in the after-school program at IES to the library for an after-school story time. Staff is also working with Ash Creek to provide a familiar program, but it will probably be at the school site due to transportation issues for the youth.
Great.
That's it.
Keep rolling. Do you have anything from the WIMPAG?
A little. We've been meeting. Deborah is the coordinator in WIMPAC Channel Up to Date, reprogrammed for month of November 9th to include November Chamber Chat, November Poke Salad, 13J School Board Meeting on November 5th, Monmouth City Council on 11/6, and the Christian Church. Other events that she taped and posted this month was the highlights for Making Spirits Bright on 11/24 for WIMPAC, the holiday tree lighting on 11:30 for WAS TV, and WAS connection with Central High School. She met with Josh Wagner, the new CHS multimedia instructor. He toured WAS TV. She will be working with him this year to live stream commencements, and then we will process with other attempts. 2 texts from Charter came to see her to view getting WIMPAC to Dallas once the new fiber goes in. They are considering using an ASI signal. She informed them that they did not have the type of output. She said that they have HD and SDI and send to MyNet over IP. Too many icons. Hopefully they will do the same now. And she also reminded them that we have 2 separate channels, not one. And Marshall and Megan are having their baby in December. December 1st or 2nd. Yay. And we need to replace him. And we are trying to get more members too, because we're down to 5. That's it.
Great. Thank you. Councilor Morton, I think you have a report also.
I do. I am the liaison to the Museum Board, and I am pleased to say that the definition and the legal delineation of the Museum Commission is a definite step forward. We have a new museum director hired who you will be meeting soon. And she is late of Baker City, which is some of my old stomping ground, and she's very excited by the opportunities and possibilities at Heritage Museum. And she will find that temperature and climate will have a whole different effect on some of the sessions in the museum in the west than they do in the east. The assistant role is being defined and the hiring process will soon be underway, and you can expect to see the museum more directly and actively engaged in the community in 2019. And I think that Mr. Hicks has something he wants to add.
So I just wanted to update, since things happening at MyNet and my council liaison reports are kind of out of sync.
We each get one?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. And
I kind of...
Oh, there's a
I
packet
did
here?
the 90-degree turn thing.
Okay.
So I'm handing you out a memorandum that was given to us at the last MyNet meeting, which is an update on the result of the first year of MyNet's 5-year strategic plan that the council, endorsed. And There isn't a whole lot to say about it, but it is all good news so far. Every standard that has been laid out by MyNet has been met or exceeded. So
Great.
that's about it.
Well, okay, I'll get a chance to take a look at that. I'm not sure, we'll make sure we all got the right pieces of paper.
There's an IO article and.
Oh, okay,
and
thank you, I was confused. Okay, I'll get a chance to read. Okay, let's keep rolling. Mr. City Manager, I think you have a report for us today.
Relatively short one. So, let's see, we'll take that one off because it's on the agenda. The RFP, the request for proposals for the 2040 visioning plan is on the street. So we hope to have, start seeing responses here this month. The deadline is in December. We expect to bring to you, your staff will bring to you in January, hopefully a candidate for your consideration to move forward with that project. Big project for you. We will also be coming to you at your next council meeting, December 11th. A little bit unusual, a little bit out of time sequence, but thought it was important. A little bit of an update on the capital improvement plan. A number of things are going to come to you with some suggested changes. We don't know if we'll ask you to make those changes or at least put you on alert that those changes will be coming to you in the during your normal course of consideration during the budget session. But some of those will lead to, some of those changes are specifically geared towards decision-making with respect to financing of projects. So the big one being a wastewater lift station. More on that in December, at your December 11th meeting, but I just wanted to give you a little heads up that that is coming. I've talked to you over time about what's going on with planning. We've gone through some transitions. I think Tom Pesmer and myself have spent a little time talking about this, and I think Tom is going to take on that challenge as part of his during the transition here between my management and his. So Tom's in the audience with us, and you're certainly getting your money's worth out of him for this past month. He's been in umpteen meetings and whatnot, and yet to be on the payroll. So good work to all of you that are getting him booked up with meetings.
Thank you.
Let's see, we will be coming to you also on December 11th with the proposed, I believe, the proposed franchise for Sprint. I think we are now all in agreement. We're getting that put in legislative, we're getting that put in format so that you can act on it. Not a lot of changes to the existing proposal, but just get that out to you for leaving one more franchise that we were trying to get that needs to come to you. We won't be working on that now. Tom will be working on that, but that's the MyNet franchise agreement. Should be modeled pretty closely after the charter agreement. Simply, we're required to treat any like entities in the same fashion. You'll be hearing from Parallel 45 a little bit tonight, but there's good progress going on that project, so we hope that they're on track with their opening. I think they're shooting for towards the end of this year, beginning of next calendar year. So they're working hard. We are expecting the site design review package on the apartments, phase 2 basically of the hotel project this December. And that seems to be moving apace. They are anxious to get that project going. We held them back because we wanted the hotel to get started first, as you'll recall. That was part of the development agreement. But they're ready to push it forward, so that's a real positive. There's still a good, strong market for apartment throughout the country. Let's see. Sometime in mid-December, we should be having the final walkthrough on Independence Landing Park. That's the project underway here in front of the hotel and the apartments. If you haven't had an opportunity to get out there and take a look at that, most of the landscaping's in. There will be some washout of the seed. It did not germinate timely. It got a little bit of a late push, so that's their nickel. They'll have to come back in the spring to take care of that, but otherwise it's going to be a beautiful park. It's already, the little pathway system really is already fun to walk. So a little bit of work left, but that's been getting pretty close to punch list time.
Question on that.
Yeah.
So will there be, you said this is a final walkthrough, will there be a final walkthrough in the springtime when we see things
Well,
growing again?
coming out of that walkthrough will be a punch list of things to be done, and
Okay.
so they'll have to complete that.
All right.
Yeah, and that will certainly be, we anticipate that that'll be one of them. This heavy rain will probably do a pretty good washout of what's out there. Leaf pickup has slowed somewhat. We've had some equipment malfunction, so when that gets repaired, that'll pick right back up again. So that vehicle's been in Portland getting some work. As you know, Sean has been hosting some ag tech meetups. We just had one on this past Thursday, or coming on Thursday. Anyway, we're averaging over 30 people per meetup, so that program is pretty effective. The gift that keeps on giving, the Inspiration Gardens. The Master Gardeners are connecting with OSU Extension to organize an outdoor school camp for elementary school kids. So that area just continues to be a great project and something I think we're all very proud of. We had the Ola Amity AVA, the American Viticultural Area meeting, or if you're familiar with AVAs, those are wine region designations. Eola Amity is one of the bigger ones and one of the better known ones in the state. Anyway, we hosted them at Valkyrie, and quite the turnout, 50 to 70 folks were there. And I think they're pretty impressed with what they're seeing in the community. So we're hoping that they will spend more time and more money in our area to take advantage of our offerings. And then finally, we had the internal kickoff for the Sunset Meadows Park Master Planning Project. Met with the consultants. They will be distributing surveys, targeted surveys within the neighborhood, so then broader reach surveys outside of the neighborhood to look at and look to have a public meeting in January. So that's what I have in terms of a rather short report tonight.
Questions for the manager? Thank you, appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Giuseppe, I think you have a presentation to make.
I am very excited to announce, come on, Carly, come on up. Carly Annabelle as our new museum manager. She's hit the ground running, and we are excited to have her on board. She's most recently from Baker County, and I'll let her tell you a little bit about herself, and we expect exciting things.
Good evening and welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. So I just came from the Baker Heritage Museum, the Baker County Museum, and then I also ran, they have a historic house museum in town as well. And I've done that for I did that for about 2 years. And during my time there, I spent a lot of time working in community outreach and kind of expanding our programming and making the museum more of a resource to different parts of the community that we before had not had the opportunity to be that. So I'm really excited about the opportunities here. You guys have a wonderful collection at your museum, and I'm really excited to kind of revamp some of the exhibits and figure out ways that we can tell more stories than we might have in the past. So I'm really excited for this opportunity, and thanks so much for letting me join your team.
Well, on behalf of the council and our community, welcome. We're glad you're here. We look forward to the continued growth and excitement in the museum. There's lots of good things that have happened, and building on the foundations of others. I know that you'll be successful with the whole team, both the paid staff through the city and then the volunteers and so many others. So again, welcome, and look forward to hearing about exciting things coming from you.
Thank you.
Okay, and I think Karen Johnson has a report to make.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. I am pleased to provide you with the official election results from the November 6th election. For City Council member position number 4, Tom Takis was running unopposed and has been reelected. Council member position number 2, also running opposed, was Marilyn Morton and has been reelected. Council position number 1 was a contested race. Diana Lidskog and Shannon Cocaine both received a very close number of votes, and the county clerk certified that Shannon Cocaine is the winner in that by 14 votes. And then for mayor, Jack Waddell and John McCardle, both received many votes. Jack Waddell, 1,202, to John McCardle, 1,759. So John McCardle is declared elected as the mayor. Congratulations, everyone.
Thank you, appreciate that. Okay. And before we get into new business, I did want to officially acknowledge Tom Pesserman and welcome him and thank you for the work you're doing already. And we're looking forward to you officially joining the team in December. But I didn't want to go without at least acknowledging more than me sticking my head over here around the speaker and saying thank you for connecting early on. So do appreciate that. Moving forward, I think Sergeant Headland has several presentations.
Good evening, Mayor, Councilors. I do have a few presentations to make. We're going to start with Parallel 45 Brewing, I believe. Should have all the information in your packet. Parallel 45 Brewing has taken a kind of ownership of the old City Hall building, 240 Monmouth Street, and it's unit number 4 is the space that they're occupying. They've made application for a brewery public house license, which would allow them to brew malt beverages as well as distribute and sell those on site as well. And actually Ryan Booth is here this evening. He is one of the partners of that location. He and his business partner Greg have worked tirelessly and put a lot of work into that business, and I went down there and looked at it, and they're doing a lot of good things down there. So I did a background on both of them as well as the business, and I didn't find any issues related to them and the application for the license.
Great. Any questions on the staff report here?
Would you like to take these individually with motions?
I think we need to, Karen is indicating, yes, we need to do these individually.
In that case, I move to recommend approval of the above liquor license request upon payment of all fees.
Second.
Motion second. Are there questions? Is everybody okay? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Can I ask a question now? When do you anticipate being open for folks to come in?
We're currently at the mercy of each construction guy. But we're hoping to be able before the first of the year.
Great. Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
And I just want to say thank you for the exterior paint.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
All
it.
work to be done there.
Thank you.
They're down there all the time working, so I see them every time I drive by. I think they're there. So
Please continue with your presentation.
the second one I believe is going to be for Jubilee Champagne and Dessert Bar. That one is a license that's applied for by a LLC named Sugar Sugar. They currently have another location in Salem where they do higher-end cupcakes and cakes and so forth. Dana Huberger has operated that business in Salem for the last 7 years and looking to expand her operation as well as move her commercial kitchen for that business into Independence. So I did a background check on her as well as her previous business, and I didn't find any issues related to either one of those as it relates to this application.
Okay. Questions for the presenter? Just for the audience, just to let you know, we have a full application in front of us. So and we've read all the detail, and so we did our homework, which helps speed things along a little bit. Okay, if there are no questions.
So I move to recommend approval of the above liquor license request upon payment of all fees.
Second.
Motion, second, discussion. Everybody okay? Diana, you good?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
So finally, I've got a 3-year review of a dismantler wrecker license for GNR Auto Wreckers, doing business as Pick Apart. They have 2 business locations inside the city, one out on Highway 51 and the other one on Monmouth Street. This is specifically for the one at 1080 Monmouth Street. I did a check of the last 3 years of any issues related to them. We haven't had any calls for service related to the business, and we didn't have any issues with them. They've always been very open in allowing us to come in and take a look and do inspections. And this year, when I went out to do the inspections, we found some issues. issues related to their documentation and the record keeping there, but it was really more of a function of them not transferring information from their main business operation on Turner Road in Salem, where all the hard copies go, and get them transcribed into their computer system, which is they're required to have all the information on site physically at the location here in Independence. I brought that to their attention. They were more than happy to work through that and figure out a better business practice in order for them to get all their information that they need on site. This application is actually about a month overdue, and they were working with me as well as the DMV to get their stuff squared away. So after they told me that everything was ready, I went back out and re-inspected for all of their records for the 2018 calendar year. They have a lot of stuff that they need to go back through and double check for the previous years, but I did a check just of 2018 just because it seemed like the right thing to do so they can move forward. All of the things that I checked when I went out there the final time all looked great, and I didn't have any issues related to any of the records that I checked the final time that I went out.
Great. Questions for the presenter? We do this every 3 years. If someone would care to make the motion?
Just to approve the application?
Yep, I take that as the motion.
Yes.
I will second that.
There you go. Okay. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries. Okay. I think, Mr. Klein, I think you're handling the fee schedule update discussion.
I would apologize on behalf of Zach. He was not available to be here this evening, and our finance director is somewhere with an umbrella drink at this moment, so here I am. I did have an opportunity to visit with Zach a little bit, and I think Kai is here as well to help respond to any particular questions with respect to the public works proposals out here. There's a little bit of some new information, some new fee structures that are being proposed. So first off, let's talk about a couple different things. One, this is not up for action tonight. This is merely to introduce to you what is being presented in general terms for changes to the fee resolution. That will come back to you probably December 11th, and we recognize that there are a few things that need some extra work, not the least of which was the home occupation fee that the gentleman mentioned earlier. That was new. We really did not have a chance to talk about that this afternoon, so we will go back and visit on that. I recognize the concerns. By and large, what these fees are intended to do, and they are fees, not taxes, and what distinguishes that is that they're designed to cover the costs that are incurred for the work that's being performed. So it's very particular to an extra effort that is being done to cover, that the fee covers. It's not a broad general benefit, it's a particular benefit. Taxes are for broad general benefit. So you have police services, for instance, are what taxes pay for because they have broad general benefit. These kinds of services are meant to benefit the applicant, the specific applicant. So if it's a business fee, an application for a land use, whatever, it's a fee because the charge is meant to cover the costs incurred in staff time and out-of-pocket costs. So that's the point of it being a fee. That said, a couple of things I just want to jump out based on our discussion today. We didn't have time to get you an amended review of this. It was the holidays, so there really wasn't a whole lot of time to vet a couple of things in this packet. But where you see the terminology deposits, it really is, it was meant to be a base fee. And a deposit may be charged, and that deposit may be charged to cover that base fee, but the base fee is a minimum. A deposit would, typically would indicate that there is a refund possible or a surcharge possible. In this case, in most of these cases, these are going to be minimums. There may be surcharges if there are additional unexpected out-of-pockets, and that will be based on a separate agreement with the applicant. So I don't know if that's terribly clear, but I see a look on, I see that look. Counselor Deserter.
Oh, no, there's a question coming.
Okay, there'll be a question coming, okay.
Yeah, carry on.
That said, I think when we get into some of the one class of new charges, that table 2 on page 3, the proposed construction inspection review fees, those are likely to be true deposits. And again, we sort of have to visit with our staff again before we come back to you with a real recommendation there, so that In the instance where costs are less than what the deposit would be, there would be the likelihood of a refund for the lesser amount. So these are basically supposed to be pure out-of-pocket and not necessarily staff time. Otherwise, these things are based on averages in the area and work that we have accomplished, and our history of work in these areas. That's where these fee recommendations come from. By and large, what we've seen as the analysis was done on these and why these are before you is a lot of the costs are being absorbed by the city, which means basically by the general public. And so since the fee is supposed to cover its costs, that's why they're coming back to you with recommendations that they fully cover their costs. Another place on page 2, we have a fee for both site plan review and site design review. I'm not clear, and Zach wasn't clear when we spoke earlier, what the distinction is there. There's a difference in the price, so we want to get that one clarified. Otherwise, this is pretty much, I think, the format, what you're going to see in the recommendation that you're going to see when we come to you with a final request for consideration in December, we think. So that wasn't very, I'm doing the best with what I have, I apologize.
Crystal clear, Mr. Fine.
Kathy, would you like
I
to
will
go
take
first with
questions
your
now.
question?
Yeah, I think there are a number of questions, and Councilor Martin
Down more
Willis.
than when I started.
Councilor Martin Willis, would you like to open?
There has been some very lively discussion on local social media regarding that new section, and there is an item titled Home Occupation, and I believe it's what Mr. Bonovitz was speaking to earlier, $225. That has been interpreted by many as being a fee for a home business. And so my question is that in fact what that is, or is that for the home occupation certificate that is issued on new construction?
It's certainly not it's not the occupancy permit that on new construction.
Okay.
And I don't believe it's intended to be just a permit fee because you're doing business at home. This is where I'm a tad confused in my conversation, why we didn't have a lengthy conversation in advance. But I think this has to do more with where there is a fair amount of work put in by staff, helping people understand whether that occupancy, in fact, is allowable in that property or not allowable. Are there sign code requirements? Are there parking? I mean, and I don't know the answers, is the long way of getting to it.
Okay.
But the short answer to you is I don't believe it was ever intended to be a business license, if you will, for running a business.
Because that was the concern that was sort of
Right,
blowing
right.
up on
If that was the
media,
intent,
media last night.
If that was the intent, that probably is going to come off the list, and we're going to you'll have a lengthier conversation later about whether that makes any kind of sense.
Okay, thank you, because I got the same request directly from the chamber today, representing several small home business
Right.
owners saying, is this occupation or occupancy? And it makes a big difference. I'd like to clarify, how much are we charging businesses downtown for a business fee, business license, business
$75?
registration?
Business registration fee is $25.
25?
Yeah, I thought it was.
Okay.
So it seems to me a home business registration fee
Might be a
should
little
not
out.
be any more than that.
Yeah, so I fully agree. So that's why we will, odds are you won't see that return. I just need to
Okay.
find out what that's about. If it's anything like that, you probably won't see this return. If it's something else, then that's something we need to explain to you more fully. And again, Zach's not here, Gloria's not here. I'm just a helpless city manager.
Okay, the two are knowledge.
That hasn't
that
ever
is
worked
not
before. I
currently
wouldn't
being-
try it.
I know, but I'm thinking as I pass into the annals of history, you'll be kind to me.
I'm sure we have folks watching, waiting for that line
And
item.
they'll be nice to me also, I'm sure.
Well, go ahead.
I would just like to know from Mr. Bodnovitz, does this answer some of your question?
Kind of. yeah.
Kind of?
That was
Okay.
the whole thing, as you
Thank you.
said, on social
Thank you.
media.
Okay.
It was actually introduced by someone as a business fee for home business.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I would suggest maybe especially for all the new fees, there's several, I like, what's Willamette Greenway, what's that? I'd like some, some definitions and how they're going to be applied,
Yeah,
when
you'll
this
have a
comes back
better,
to us.
you'll certainly have a better explanation.
Yeah.
Next time through, but I could, the Willamette Greenway fee is basically, there's a fair amount of time that's taken to determine whether something is, a project that comes in, whether it complies with the Greenway ordinance.
Okay.
So
But
these
those
are all-
those little definitions,
these are-
probably for all these, would be really nice.
Yeah, and I think when Zach is back and comes back before you, because otherwise I'll probably suggest that you not take this up until he is back.
Good plan.
That you have a better understanding of what those are all about.
So is there kind of a, if we pass this on, can you kind of let people know at home what the time, what's going to happen with this? I'm assuming it's going to.
Put something on the Facebook for the city
Yeah.
to talk about
Yeah.
the
So like going to the planning commission type thing? Is
okay.
is this going to be reviewed by anybody or what's going on?
Typically, when we have fees, we come to you. This is,
Okay,
the new
just
ones
us.
are the new ones are
Because
what's
that was
getting your
another
attention. but-
another confusion on Facebook.
Yeah,
What
so
was going on?
when we bring fees to you, there's typically an opportunity for public questioning, public has an opportunity to talk to you about those fees before you can act on them. So like, for instance, our water and sewer rates, they'll be coming back to you in December as well, because that's what we take up every January. They go into effect, but they're acted on, we think in December. Our whole rate ordinance comes to you in advance, roughly in December. These are being previewed with you tonight because they're new.
Yeah.
Typically, what you see is very few changes to the fee resolution, just changes in the numbers. This is the first time you're getting a series of new fees, largely because everybody else have been absorbing these costs on behalf of the people the work is being done for.
So let me make sure that I'm clear. So when we get this document back again, we'll have, after some staff review, we'll have, take a look at the new fees and see what they, so we know exactly what they are. There'll be a brief line or two or whatever it takes to explain what that fee is for, so that we can speak authoritatively about what that is, and then we can make decisions at that point.
That is the case.
Does that sound okay to everybody?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and I appreciate, right, and because it was, we all had the same concerns, and appreciate the thought that goes into some of that. If there's no other questions related to this, is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll just keep moving on, and we'll see this when it comes back. I guess when it comes back. Okay. So, Mr. Klein, I think you have the next piece also, is that true?
Yeah, I do. Thank you, Mayor. This one is a proposal that it comes from the Gay Youth Association. Don Wool's in the audience and can also help you with any understanding you'd like about this. They are expanding their facilities at their location near the Baptist Church, and we're in talking, looking at ways to be creative with the costs of that project. There's a fair amount of costs associated with development fees, and those can't be waived by the city. But we were talking about, so how is it, is there some opportunity for the city to be supportive in other ways and meet its own needs? And I think Don and I and our staff spent a little bit of time chatting about this and tied it into a very pressing need of the community, and that's our homeless issues. And what this proposal is intended to do, and we still have to sort of sort through some of the details of this, so this is not quite final to you yet. I don't mind at the end of even if you give me a sort of a yay, nay, that you like the concept, but not the particulars. What we're trying to do is add to the base of services that are available to support the homeless community, so that we interdict that problem early. Because there's so many different ways that becomes a much bigger, much worse problem. It becomes a police problem, becomes a mental health problem, all sorts of problems in our society. And we think that, one of the keys to foregoing those worse outcomes is to help at least put a roof over people's heads when they most need it. And we're not talking about building housing here, of course, but we're just talking about at least meeting the emergency needs of people. So that said, I think, Don was very gracious in putting this together, saying, with our project, we think we can find a way to expand those services that are available in the county, and that the key is on expanding existing services that are currently available, not replacing existing services, which is the certainty we have to get to. And then, but to expand those services and find a way that the city can sort of offset some of that expense. And the offset would look something like this. They have a fairly large system development charge that's associated with the cost of building the gate expansion. We think we can help them offset that by purchasing services for the homeless sheltering needs of this community that is a similar number. So it helps keeps their operating revenue in their pockets for their services. So I'm not sure if that made sense, but that was a little bit of the concept behind how we got to where we are today. So this proposal is sort of Don's work at getting a result back to us that reflected that outcome.
Go ahead.
One question, I'm just curious about what the estimate of our homeless population is.
Don't have numbers.
Is it 0 to 50, 50 to 100?
We have no numbers. The county has been working to develop these kinds of shelters, and they're only in their first year of developing these resources, so they would be the logical base for that information, but I'm sure they don't have a database of any kind yet. Okay. It's very early. There's no real history that you can look to. And we know there's a lot of people that are homeless in our communities, and homeless can show up in a lot of different ways, couch surfing,
yes.
You name it. But, how do you put a number on that? Depending on who they contact. Do they contact the police? Do they contact the fire, the churches for services, the gate, others? Do they just move between families? We don't know. Right now, we can't put a number on that demand, but we know there's a high demand, much higher demand than we have available resource.
It'll probably change dramatically as the weather cools down.
Yeah.
I guess
and again, that's the intent, is to capture it at that point of emergency need.
I guess I would just say, I think if you could come up with maybe other warming shelters around the state or something like that to get some sort of idea, are we serving 5 people? Are we serving 500? What is the...
John,
Well, a couple things. One,
Go ahead, come on up to the podium.
One, I just would clarify on Marilyn's question. While the focus is certainly on homeless, the warming center per se will also serve low-income people who can't afford to pay for their heating and that sort of thing. So it will be higher than the homeless count that's in there. David's correct that the Polk County Warming Center program started this year. And so I've been talking a little bit with Matt Smucker, who is kind of coordinating that for Brent. And I think they've had their facility open once, I think. So we really don't have a good handle on, when you open up a center, how many people are going to come. And I don't know, I don't have access or haven't looked for any homeless figures per se in terms of how many it is. I would be surprised if we ever filled up this facility as a warming center, because it's a gymnasium. So right. I think you could put a couple hundred people in there. Hopefully we'll never have a couple hundred people that need to be in a warming center in the evening. So my guess is it's more like 15 to 20 on a given evening. It will also accept families. So if families, like I said, can't pay their heat bill, the family and the kids can come there. The good thing is that the tracks have been laid down. Matt sent me a copy of the operations policy that are establishing. They have it pretty well written, but they're continuing to work on that. And so we'll use that same thing. We'll plug right into that program, but just offer a large facility and another facility to the rotating ones that are there. So
I know for myself, I'll be really interested to see the interface between what the county's doing and what we're talking about, and I know that there's a lot of moving parts at this point, but there's obviously a need, and it's great that there's enough folks that are interested in finding a way. I don't know what the right way is. And appreciate the creativity that this is expressing, and I like what you said, Mr. Klein, about expanding existing services. And so it's not just one replacing another, trying to expand, making
More
it better.
options.
Making it better.
Thank you for your generosity, too.
Yes. I would like to make another comment, though. It seems like there is a lot of unknown about how this is going to work and all that sort of thing. I question the 10-year commitment, both on the city's part and on your part. You know, are you going to be able to deal with it, really? So I might look at a shorter time frame where we could, revisit this or something like that.
Yeah, we can certainly talk about what
Yeah.
the best way to make the arrangements are. For us, it certainly fits with our purpose well. I mean, we typically are serving teens, not adults, but we're basically there to provide a safe place for people to hang out. So it sort of is a natural extension. So I wouldn't necessarily worry about our ability to continue to do it. But you're right, 10 years is a long time from now, and we're still figuring it out.
Maybe more like a 3-year or something like that. Because, it sounds like a great idea, but
The 10-year time frame actually came from, because the process of paying for SDCs over time is a 10-year process. So we just match those dates up.
I kind of figured that.
Whatever agreement we end up coming to you with would have an early termination for either party.
okay.
Thank you.
So,
We have a renewal.
right.
Yeah.
So where this is, so we're not taking any action tonight, but so so the steps are, we'll make a few comments here in a few moments, but conceptually, you folks are going to get more information, work with the county, try to put all the pieces together and see what makes sense. That's what I'm going to ask council to do. What do you, conceptually, without, not a lot of detail, getting too much in the weeds, conceptually, what do you folks think about something like this?
Absolutely positive.
Yes, absolutely.
It's a good
Yeah.
project.
That's everybody on board saying that this is important to our community. And I think that that's an important statement that we just made, that we're going to take care, we're going to take care of people, and we don't want anybody to freeze. I think, is that?
Can I throw one quick
Please do,
question
please do.
out, Mr. Wall? And I know it's not a really long walk from, for instance, downtown over to your location. Would there be any sort of transportation plan involved in that? I know that starts getting complicated and dicey.
I think that, first of all, that's probably outside the purview of what we're working on right here. The county, in their overall warming center plan, I think has talked about that, but I don't know that we have an answer for that yet. I know Bob worked on it a little bit.
And that is an acceptable answer.
I think
There is not yet one.
A lot of
so-
that transport, I think, is probably going to happen with our police departments. And so
Okay.
that'll certainly make that transport a little shorter than what it could otherwise be.
It might be involved with the local transportation project that, some folks at the legislature are kicking around.
That's also, I believe, one of the reasons why the basic plan is a rotating warming center in different areas. So on any given night, there might be 2 centers, one in Monmouth, one in Independence.
Right.
And then maybe
Okay.
Additional questions? Again, I want to compliment the creativity of both of you for looking at ways to make things work, make things better. So thank you. Okay.
Thank you. I would add, this is not our first foray. As you recall, we are also part of a two-county conversation with respect to the homeless as well.
And there's
This
a
is
shared
the-
employee also, isn't there?
Yes.
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
Though I think they're having to recruit a new one. But this is the first time we're really putting money into direct services. So
Sounds great. Okay. Council members, we have announcements. Why do I say the word announcements and I look like Councilor Morton? What, pray tell, would you wish to share with us this evening?
I would like to share
Pray
with
tell.
you that on December 1st, please come visit Santa as he arrives on the train, and he will be coming from the north, of course, which is the direction that he travels, and arriving in front of the movie theater on 2nd Street, and I understand there are gifts and hot chocolate and all kinds of fun for everyone. And also, on the 12th of January is the 2nd annual mystery dinner put on by the Independence Downtown Association. The tickets are $50, and for that you get a splendid dinner and an interesting show. And a local acting troupe has volunteered to help out with this, so it's going to be an even more professional level than last year. And the play is called What Really Happened to Lenora.
Additional announcements from folks. I have a couple I'd like to share with you, just letting you know that this Saturday I've been asked to be on the faculty at the Hatfield School of Government at PSU, teaching the new elected officials boot camp. They were hard up. They needed somebody. They want me again. I'd like you to put something on your calendar. On Thursday, December 13. Is that correct, Karen? Thursday, December 13, we're having a retirement function for Mr. Klein, and we'll get you more details, but that's going to be a public function, so there might be a little roasting and toasting.
What time?
What time did we set, Karen?
4:30 to 6:30?
Yeah.
And where?
Well, that's still to be.
We're still working, nailing that down, and we think we need to make a couple phone calls before we publicly
At the new
commit.
hotel?
It's not done yet.
It might be a little wet there.
No umbrellas?
Just to be clear on the rules of a roast, you are able to return the roast into the roaster.
Sure. And council members, unless we have a meeting scheduled on the 11th, unless there is a crying need, I don't anticipate having a second meeting, because we will not meet on Christmas Day because Santa will not have delivered our packets.
Thank you.
And so I do not anticipate a second meeting. I'll confirm that at our next meeting, but I just want to let you, just sleep easy, and we'll do everything we can so we don't have to. Does that sound okay? Somebody want to send us home for dinner?
I move to adjourn.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Thanks, folks, for being here.